Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you all for being part of this important campaign. The idea this morning was to, at one level, celebrate what we've achieved, take stock in where we've gotten, think about the future. Where do we want to go with this? Let's think big. We've heard 75,000, quite an achievement, 200,000, quite an aspirational target. And through all of that, we have to keep asking ourselves, what is the role of business in this? What is the role of you as leaders within business? And what is the opportunity? How do we seize the opportunity? We talk a lot about making a difference, making a real impact out there. Well, are we? Are we capturing that? We think we are. The City Guild's work is going to help us reinforce that. And we've got to get this message out there to a much wider audience. Stuart talked about the challenging economic environment that we are in. Indeed, we are entering into the age of austerity. And how is that cutback in this country and around the world going to impact the kinds of work that we're doing with young people? And it isn't just the economy. The whole social fabric is changing. What is expected of us as business leaders? The social contract is different. The pace of change for young people. We've got Amplify, an interesting social enterprise here today, doing its social media and blog stuff. I know it's about as all I know about it, actually. But the whole way that we communicate with each other, the way that young people find out about things, the way that my own children engage with the world is totally transformed. And how does that have a bearing on what we're trying to do? And we even think about, what is the world of work going to look like in 5 years, in 10 years' time? What are the skills that people will be required to have? How do we unlock the talent in those young people? How do we take advantage of the one real asset we have in this country, which is talented people, and how do we unlock that to our advantage? Now, business in the community is a business-led, values-driven movement, and you've seen a perfect example of that today with the leaders that we've had up there. It is all about people standing up and being counted. It isn't about philanthropy. It's about how you run your business and how you create value in doing that, how you can create value by living your values. And an important part of that is how you engage people, how you engage your own staff so that they feel empowered and inspired by what they do, and how you use those talents and skills to extend out into the community and think about tomorrow's workforce. Very relevant indeed as we think about all of that. We have a new coalition government who is talking to us about the big society, and they've engaged with business in the community, and we've said we're happy to listen and participate at a level. Question, I suppose, in many people's minds is this a slogan, or is there something real here? And as we begin, as the business and the community movement begin to think a little bit about what does big society mean? How do we make sure that people have a sense of real responsibility for what they do? That simply because you've paid your taxes, you don't have the privilege of outsourcing your conscience. If we're concerned about what's happening with young people in our communities, what are we as leaders and what are we as individuals going to do about that? So we're really quite excited about where that whole thing may take us. This idea of work being good for you is at the very heart of what is the business and the community movement. The work that we do in skills and development of people who are in the workforce, the sort of employability stuff that we heard Barclays talk about in terms of how do we get people back into the world of work who have fallen out, homeless people, all sorts of categories of people who have somehow found themselves out of the world of work. And also with young people, how do we entice them into this? We've got Nick Chambers from the Employers Task Force here this morning who we're working with on how do we get the notion out there to businesses and to schools all around the country of how these partnerships work. We have something we call Business Class, which is a very structured, very easy to use methodology of a business and a school creating a long-term partnership that really adds value. Ways that you can put it in place, the way that you can measure it, and the way that you can drive real impact. And Fiona on our team is here that can talk about that. But this morning also this idea of work inspiration. How do we raise the aspirations of people out there to believe that they really do have choices? It is shocking the number of people that we encounter in our work who don't feel like they have any choice at all. And so the things that you're doing as leaders of this movement is really making a difference. 75,000 work placements, fantastic. 200,000, Steve, I look forward to counting up next year and beyond. We know this works. We know it will get better as we think about it. We know we need the input of all of you to keep this developing. So thank you for being here. Thank you to BT for hosting this, but also being such an exemplar company in all of this. Thank you to all of our speakers. Great to welcome Barclays and Tottenham into it. I'm a Fulham fan, so I'll see what I can do about them as well. We'll get a little competition. Stuart has mentioned the companies who have been in the lead on this. Not surprising when you hear the names, really exemplars across the pitch. McDonald's, Royal Mail, ITV, M&S, BT, Chime, Serco, and on. So many other companies expressing interest in where this can all take us. So really quite an exciting time. Andy Pickles and the creative website that's here. Take a look at that if you haven't seen it. Chris Satterthwaite, where are you, Chris? You have been such an inspiration in sort of driving forward. How do we make this journey simple for people? We talk to businesses all the time and they say, I'd like to do it, but it all just seems so complicated and I have so many conflicting priorities. So how do we make this journey simple? And I think that we've achieved just that. So the team from Capgemini are here who have led sector big conversations. Adam at ITV, we've had some media ones, Cheryl of Career Movers Group. So many people have played an important part in this, and we thank you all. Steve, delighted that you and your leadership team are going to take on the mantle to drive this forward. The whole notion of work inspiration really does capture people's imagination, and that's an important part of it. And Stuart, as always, you've been an advocate, a champion, challenging us all to make sure that this matters and we're doing something that really does count. So thank you for your leadership and passion on all of this.